Hi everybody, I'm Ashley Warnadude. I've been in the I gotta give like a proper introduction in my
Yes,
mind.
okay, we're introing.
We're introing, we're proper YouTubers.
Yeah.
I feel like I've probably been in the fandom I think for 8 years, 2018, around like November or October, I think. So almost 8 years.
And I
I would
got
say around
in
this time
like
in the fandom,
September of
yeah.
2024.
This is like new gen versus old gen fan.
Yes.
Except I don't even consider myself an old gen fan, honestly, because in my mind, I'm
Hilarious.
still like relatively, I don't know, just anybody like who came in pre accepting anxiety. I'm like, oh, that's an old gen fan. And to me, I'm like, what do you mean it's been like almost 8? But in terms of fandom, okay, so to give you some perspective, the fandom
Yes.
was a little off its rocker in terms of, I think I could be wrong, but I feel like this was probably the longest hiatus in between episodes that we had. I think it was about 8 months.
Oh
And
wow.
people were like dramatically dying on Tumblr. You know, they were making a lot of like weird memes and trends. I honestly think during this time, Side fusion art and fan fiction was really popular. But we
Oh,
didn't
you
know
mean like
anything about
fusing the
this
side?
episode. Yeah. And it was honestly a really cool trend, not gonna lie. I kind of
Sure.
miss that era. But it was, I don't think we had a lot of idea of what this episode was going to be about. We just knew that it was in production for a long time because I'm pretty sure the episode before this was the Crofters episode. It was just very funny that we got why did we get out of the bed in the morning?
Which
And then
actually
like a
I
week
have not
later
seen
we
the Crofters
yeah.
episode. I've not seen the Crofters musical.
Is a silly little ditty that
Yeah.
I think is a fun little time and is like, hey, I'm just reminding you, hi. I'm reminding you Roman is sad. I'm just
Oh.
letting you know, okay, bye. And then that's how it is. So
Oh wait.
that came out a
Hi,
week
I'm
later.
my name's Jess. I forgot to introduce myself.
Proper
Proper
YouTuber over
YouTubers, my
here.
name's Jess. I'm Film Finds. And we're joining forces. Because we both love Sandersides and puppets.
That's true. I am a puppet enjoyer. Where was I? Yeah. So basically, that episode dropped, and then it was like 8 months. And then once this episode dropped, I remember people really enjoying it. The only thing I think that because it was mostly a positive consensus, I honestly don't remember too much about the fandom reaction wise. I know people really liked Virgil's puppet, rightfully so.
Do you have
I
it
know
with
that a
you? Is
lot of
it listening
people.
with you right now?
He's like laying in my office chair, looking really sad on his back with his hood up.
Oh
Actually, he's not.
no! Oh no!
He's fine.
Because
I
Ashley
really
has
need to get
one.
like a proper stand for him. I do
You
have one.
should.
I paid a lot of money for him.
Who made him?
This person called I don't know if this is their old username, but
Hmm.
Brick Draws. They custom made a Logan, Patton, Virgil, puppets, and then they actually also made a Janice and Remus one that they designed themselves,
Oh
and
wow!
they were really cool. Yeah, I wanted to actually buy both Patton and Virgil and Janice, but they said Janice had already been sold.
Oh.
Patton was just basically out of repair because of the material he was at,
Hmm.
and I love Logan's puppet, but I think Virgil's silly, so I wanted Virgil.
Of course,
So I
he's
got him.
adorable. I would have
He is
my
very
Sander size
adorable.
merch nearby, but I don't have any because I got into this fandom too late.
But
I
hey, there's
missed
gonna be new
everything.
merch.
I'm gonna buy
Mhm.
it because I got nothing.
I
Because I
will
want to
say
spend
the only
$100.
thing of note that came out of this episode that I remember in terms of fandom impact was it taught me that people are afraid of puppets. So at least on Tumblr, people were aggressively telling you to tag puppets.
Oh no! How could you possibly puppet? I'm gonna eventually. I'm gonna make Ashley here watch Muppets Take Manhattan. But as we know, there is a
Hmm,
big difference between Muppets and puppets. Puppets are things controlled by
this is true.
people, and Muppets are real things, and they're my friends.
Patton Sanders is real in my heart.
Oh my gosh.
I think something funny about this line is that this sets up this has already been set up honestly subtly, but this is something that Thomas was never actually like real Thomas never had a band in college. So I think it's honestly a funny distinction that a lot of people asked him this and he said no. So it's a further distinction that character Thomas and real Thomas aren't the same person with the same experiences. The character Thomas is more of an amalgamation of the different writers throughout Sides, but obviously still heavily inspired by the real Thomas.
I kind of love that. I just love his
Oh
line
yeah.
reading. It's an old college band. He suddenly sounds like he's a sitcom dad.
It was an old college band that I was in.
I like to think Patton, not Thomas, but somehow just Patton was in a college band.
So if you enjoyed all that fun, off-the-cuff stuff we did...
You know, I love the idea, and I know that we got, like, emo phase Patton, but I love the idea of, like, a punk Patton in the 80s.
See, me, I'm waiting for, like, his son doesn't talk to him anymore, so Patton has, like, a midlife crisis and joins a Beach Boys cover band.
You know, fun fact, that Drew Gooden, the Viner, ex-Viner, made the Sanders Sides intro. Fun fact.
So I figured we'd
try.
Yeah, he did. He's honestly a really good editor when it comes to graphics.
By the way, this video is gonna look terrible, and just know that it's because I edited it and not Ashley.
I thought it might be nice to have
the like professional.
I'm a little
editor.
guy
the
with
girl who can barely use CapCut's gonna edit this, so if it looks bad, don't blame Ashley.
I think it adds to the charm and charisma if you think about it.
There you go. I do love the credit of just cast Thomas Sanders. That's it.
No.
I wish it was Thomas Sanders, also Thomas Sanders, by Thomas Sanders.
Thomas Sanders for Thomas Sanders.
And maybe would have been
Thomas and Friends.
Made for and by. So it's like PBS Kids. Made for kids like you, thank you. But it's made for Thomases like you, thank you.
Thomases like me.
To be doing YouTube. And then came a question that was all
No, but what do you actually do?
Yeah,
That's
but what
real.
do you actually
Do you know how hard it's to not quote this entire thing?
I've seen
Off
it.
my
This is my
autism.
third time watching it ever.
around social media, and that it's looked
I've
at
seen
as
it so many
just a
times.
hobby.
It's real though. I mean, like I remember the first time
But
I had a TikTok hit like 1 million views, and I was so
But
thrilled.
it's still not
and I told
taken
my
seriously.
dad, and he was like, "Wow, a lot of people have
I'm
time
not
on their
taken
hands,
seriously.
And I'm like, "Thanks."
I've had people ask me
Cool,
that
cool,
question
cool. All right.
millions of times before, but
I
for some
imagine,
reason,
honestly, I know that people probably, and I'm not necessarily comparing social media to like a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
but it genuinely is. I feel like people don't necessarily think about how hard social media jobs can be. And it obviously depends, but I don't know. I think they don't think about all the factors that go into play.
They really don't.
Or not creating. It's just I haven't been satisfied.
I wish I had seen Hamilton
With my
content.
with my
You've
content.
never
There are
seen
all
Hamilton?
these little things. that for some
I've
reason
seen
are getting to
the
me.
like 2-hour
I
version
feel
of
bad
Animal Crossing
for
through
feeling
Hamilton.
We're
Does
gonna
that count?
pause for a
Because-
minute. What are you talking about?
There's this video. I want the audience to know this. It's a video, and it's the recreation of the entirety of Hamilton through like Animal Crossing. And that's how I watched like the first half for like a friend of mine, but I don't know if I finished.
That's the way you've seen Hamilton.
Yeah.
The fact that you've gotten to see I'm so jealous that you've gotten to see Thomas in shows, and the fact that you don't care about musicals is crazy.
I think that like I was in life meant to be a musical theater kid. I really think I do, but then I got snuffed out of playing Pinocchio and Shrek Jr. And since then, I guess my life was like, I guess you're just not going to cross paths with
You
it.
have this
To be fair,
vendetta.
I was talking to my friend Taylor about this, is that I was like, oh, I read this book in high school called Dear Evan Hansen. It was a decent book. And she's like, book? And I'm like, yeah, book. And she's like, the musical? And I'm like, there's a musical?
Just so, do you know that there is a Heathers movie?
I know that there's a head. I know there's a head. I know something.
Sorry. I was a huge fan of the Heathers movie forever, so the fact that it became a musical that's not terrible, I love it. It was like it was my favorite movie when I was like 13 was Heathers. I like wanted to be I wanted to be Veronica without like the murder.
I wanted to get with Veronica personally.
Yeah, she was amazing. Her shoulder pads, I can't even.
I play.
I don't know. I just feel bad. Oh, Thomas, don't say that. Take it from me. That's not the way to work out your feelings. But
Oh, I love character continuity.
Yeah, we love growth.
Nothing's different. Not that I know of. Okay, the
get
only
it,
way I
though.
can describe it is like.
Sorry, hold on. I'm shifting into my cuteness aggression.
In front of me, and
I love dealing
Yo,
with the topic
puzzle.
of like feeling
Puzzle.
bad about feeling bad
to
is a
figure
real
out
thing.
why I'm feeling.
Honestly, I feel like they touch on more of that like SPS Redux, where they talk about
For
like
sure.
the guiltiness of feeling like you don't deserve to kind of like give up your or not give up your life kind of thing.
Or even just, like, understanding that, like I grew up with, you know, my sister has chronic pain, and so I'm always like, anytime I have a headache, I can't say anything because she's in
I have
worse
videos
pain.
I have
She's
to
like,
make.
it's a scale.
Even though nothing
Being
I
a
create
you're still hurting.
seems to be anything great.
I think sometimes it's like going through like whenever you go home and you're like, oh, I'm tired, and then like the thing of like your mom being like, oh, well, you think you're tired? I cleaned the whole house kind of thing.
It's Patton.
Hey,
Thomas made
hey, it's Logan.
to regularly sharing content.
Because get it? He's trying to make sure Logan knows. I don't know if it's like a cute little thing to be like, hey, what's up? It's me, Patton. Or if he's like, hey, it's no longer Can Lang Be Good. I'm not Janice.
Oh, that's a cute thought. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like,
Okay, pause it for 1 second. I need you to pause.
Just so you know, it's me.
Okay, so I have no idea why they did this to me specifically. They did this to hurt me. They made Logan say the word titillating, tingly sensation whenever deadlines are met. So I had to look. I did not know what titillating meant, so I looked up the word titillating, and it meant like arousing. Why does he get off? Thomas, where do you get off to? Why does he get off the deadline?
Because they're satisfying?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know anymore.
Can I say one, maybe the geekiest sentence I'm probably going to say throughout this entire thing?
I doubt that, but go on.
And I'll explain it if you need me to, because this is going to be film nerdy. I like to think that their leitmotifs are diagenic to the scenes. Okay. That means that leitmotifs are like bits of music that represent a character. So like, you know, the music that happens whenever they pop up.
Oh, okay, that's what I mean. Oh yeah, 100%. That makes
I like to think that everyone can hear that in the room.
Oh, yeah. That would be really funny. I know. I've seen like Thomas's editing timelines when sometimes he's posted them when he's doing episodes. Because as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. He edits the Sanders Said episodes himself, and I don't blame him for that. Honestly, I feel like he probably has like a specific vision in mind, and it has like the thing about it I like about Sanders Sides is that in a way it really captures like the 2016 YouTube vlog editing style, and that's not a diss at all. I think it fits it within just like the millennial experience. And I think that the way he edits it is just fun. And I've looked in the timeline, and God, he puts in so much freaking music, which from an editing standpoint, when I want to put in lines for an edit, I hate it because I'm like, well, now I got to get rid of this music. But from a viewing standpoint, I really enjoyed it, and it adds to the experience.
It's great. I love that all the characters have their little musical stings. I think it's cute. But no, I like that he edits his stuff. It's like, I know Shane Madej for Puppet History always edits the last episode of the season. That's always like his baby that he keeps like special for him. Look at the lamp.
Yeah, no, that lamp has never been straight as far as I'm aware. I don't know why it looks like that.
Neither is anyone in this video or anyone in this recording.
If we continually fail to deliver videos in a timely manner, or even fail to deliver them entirely, then by the screams of snit snakes at a gorgeon salon, why would the audience remain? Doing it to hear you talking about them.
I want them to bring this back up. It's so cute. They have a lot of things that they just, I know it's a one-off joke, but the fact that Roman has note cards is really funny, and they never bring it up again.
I would love that.
I want them to bring it back up.
You can talk to them. Yes.
Why do you think he has them? Is it just for like to remember different insults, or?
I wonder if it's like okay, obviously I don't know theater, but I wonder if it's like lines type of thing.
Oh, like
I don't know. Patton Sanders is like, let me jingle keys in front of your face. Look at the freaking Subway Surfers. Close to the screen. Actually, I want to say something I think is funny, is that if you watch Sanders Sides in chronological order, this is something somebody else may not notice, but I feel like as an editor I just have, is that Virgil gets progressively closer and closer to the screen, and I'm pretty sure in learning things about ourselves, this is the closest he effing gets.
That's hilarious. I love Virgil in this episode.
You got it.
I think that this is one of Virgil's best written episodes, and then same for Patton.
They're both so great in this. I also love Thomas just being full fate accepted of like, yeah, my mind's a trash fire, it's fine.
But I don't know.
Begging him for therapy.
And another thing.
Oh, we missed the bitch
here.
Definitely not ideal. I don't know, Thomas, your heart and your anxiety are telling you the same thing here. What, have you two formed some kind of team? Only the bestest, mostest dynamic duo in the entire Thomosphere. Got that right.
I feel like this is probably more sad for you than it is for me.
Why?
Well, because I've gotten over, honestly, for the most part, the death of Virgil and Patton's friendship, and I feel like it's more fresh to you.
I'm not over it.
I'm just standing here and I'm like, it's okay, buddy. You get over it eventually.
I think I maybe finished the series a month and a half ago.
Oh my gosh. Oh, to be a baby.
And
You're older than me, but oh, to be a baby.
I'm so much older, yeah. I'm a dirty millennial. No, I understand what they're going for with them breaking up, but it's not breaking up is in friendship, to be very clear. I just love their dynamic so much. I love the like.
Oh no, it's very cute.
It's so sweet, and like he's so just willing to give Virgil chances, and I don't know, man.
I think that this episode does do a good job of setting up the quote unquote death of their friendship. I do think it sets it up pretty well.
I think it really does. And to make it hurt the most, because they know what they're doing, they make it the sweetest first.
Logan, you get upset anytime.
I think this is honestly hilarious because if anyone ever said this to Logan, he would not react like this. He just effing takes it, and it's so freaking funny.
He seems to take it more from Virgil than anybody as far as like criticism goes.
Yeah, maybe it's because he knows he's like, in a way, he's more logical than the others. I don't know. I find their friendship really cute.
I remember the first
time I think they both have an ego.
That simultaneously, it felt like it was setting up like a body swap.
This isn't normal. Look, I'm not choosing.
You know, when's my effing Sanders Side's Freaky Friday episode? I'd be so effing for it.
That's always what happens in a Freaky Friday thing. Is they always say something like that at the same time.
I am not. Totally normal.
You know, I know that this is a representation of like Thomas's inner thoughts, and to be fair, I feel like that's honestly a really accurate representation of anxiety, of just feeling your head is buzzing and busy and so many thoughts all the time. It's kind of like a good metaphor.
The spiral starts, like, don't even.
I could be subtle.
I like how also Logan can be trained like an effing dog, and he just like shuts up like after a Rubik's Cube. It's so funny.
Well, it's like he gets distracted. He gets distracted by word games. He is, for being logic, if you give him a puzzle, he'll run off.
Part of the problem.
At the end of the day, they all have ADHD. Ergo, yes, they get distracted.
Even the most together one, they still have ADHD.
Find a distraction. Virgil's right.
Something about this that's interesting as well is that Virgil's pretty expressive.
Until you're reminded of it again. We're trapped in a figurative
nightmare.
Logan, we know that we're not literally trapped in a nightmare. I drew a little outside the lines, but I kind of like it.
I kind of like it.
To the point that many of history's
greatest philosophical
minds have spent their
I'm just jealous that he
questioning
can fix a Rubik's Cube.
A little clarity never hurt anybody. Thomas, this cycle.
Do you know how they did that scene behind the scenes?
No. Should I pause this? I want to know.
So we're stuck in a.
Yeah, pause it. I'll tell you. I think it's basically they filmed that scene first where he goes, Virgil's right, and he throws the Rubik's Cube right before they like jumbled it. So they filmed that first, and then they just filmed after, like just him he wasn't actually fixing it because Thomas doesn't know how to solve one as far as I'm aware. And so then he jumbled it. So I just think that's just really funny.
It's like one turn. Cool.
Fruit.
That is one of my favorite jokes of the episode.
Oh,
it's very silly.
Oh, I thought he was gonna. Okay. No,
I think I like how Virgil's very visually expressive, and his face this episode is cool to see.
Person to call it a loop. How do I get out of it? This situation is pretty cut and dry, isn't it? You guys just cut it out. I'm doing nothing wrong. Same side.
Same side.
I don't see anything wrong.
Not knowing how a word sounds.
Now, any other solutions?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. He's real, but I'm gonna be honest though, just telling two people to just stop arguing honestly isn't gonna do much.
No, but his reaction of just like, I don't know, clearly I don't know. That is so, when I get flustered and I get annoyed no one's listening to me, I'm just like, no, I clearly know nothing, so I just shut my stupid mouth.
You always do your best thinking in the shower, so
I mean, to be fair, it's still better than freaking Mr. Naked over here.
Guys, come on.
Virgil's face, I'm like, why? No.
I feel bad for Virgil in this episode because I think part of it is usually the role that Logan has is reining them in, and then sometimes like in moving on in this. You know, honestly, this makes me realize that a lot of the times I like Virgil's character is when he specifically gets to play the one to rein them in.
So in other words, you like Virgil when he's being Logan?
It's not just that you don't know.
I did not say that. Legally speaking, my lawyer told me to not agree to that sentiment.
That I don't know. What's he saying? I don't know.
Third base. Comedy.
No, that's funny. Oh, I think I do. Sometimes we don't seek the answer to a question because we don't know that there's a question that we should be asking in the first place. Patton, you're good. That was
face reaction's my favorite.
Helpful. Okay, so
okay, pause here. I have a whole tirade right for this thing. So I'm, an education major, and I think this episode teaches a really valuable lesson to Logan. Now, I don't know if he necessarily takes it to heart, but it's something important I think that he needs to know anyways, is that honestly, I think Patton is a better teacher than Logan. And I 100%. Think that's because, and I know everyone's looking at me right now like, you're the Logan guy. I know, I love Logan. But it's because Patton has this really good sense of emotional maturity and emotional complexity, and he understands it, is that he looks at things outside of the box, and he's not necessarily, and you're going to see it later in the episode, obviously, where he's the one who uses the unconventional methods to teach, right? Like, oh, you learned through puppetry, instead of just textbooks and lecturing. Like, I love Logan, but not a lot of people learn like that. And
Yeah.
I know that Patton's approach to teaching is very more so comparative and probably something you would find in like an elementary school classroom. Logan is probably more comparatively to college. But I think at this stage, the question and that Thomas is asking himself is something that has to do with his emotions. So I think that's also in tune of why Patton is specifically good at teaching him in this moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it just sets up the course of this episode that Patton is going to be really integral, and Logan is going to be trying really hard to be his typical expositional self, but he can't do that when the core of this issue is not a logical yes or no answer to a question. It is feelings, and he just doesn't get it.
And there's just, I feel like there's something so interesting about the fact that, you know, these characters, they can't just be their function, because then they'd all be one-dimensional characters. So you've got this kind of built-in insecurity for all of them. I think, honestly, the reason why
Thomas is insecure?
So Virgil sometimes seems like the most, sometimes honestly together, even though his anxiety, is because he doesn't have to put on some, like, he just kind of is the way he is all the time, partially because the other characters give him permission to be that way. They try to meet him partway.
And he's free?
Yeah, they don't do that with other characters. So, like, Patton is trying to deal with his emotions, but also really wants to be that protective fatherly figure. We've got Logan, who's like, I have to have all the answers, because if I don't, then what am I? What else is there? I can't have emotions. I am this, and that is all robot. And then Roman trying to just be this perfect prince all the time, where he's slowly crumbling inside. I just want to give them all hugs and therapy coupons. But the whole thing with the teacher, I 100% agree. Logan is that teacher who can just, he'll explain it to you because he understands it, but he can only explain it one way. And if you come and say, I don't get it, you'd be like, it's this. That's what it is. That's just what it is. Whereas
sorry, bro.
Patton could look at you and be like, all right, look at how you learn, and then translate and adapt for you. He's that great adaptable teacher.
I think that, like, obviously a good teacher is probably more a combination of, I would say, creativity, social emotional kind of like knowledge base, and then also the content knowledge. I think with Logan specifically, it's very fascinating to me that I think that, and obviously this, I would say this is not an element necessarily touched on the later we get into the series, but Patton has still been allowed to be sort of a dad and reference that. Roman is still allowed to reference and act like a prince. He references it all the time. Logan, honestly, since the first episode, has not really allowed to reference the fact that he is a teacher. And I think that's really fascinating in the way that I don't know if it's intentional, but I wonder if part of the reason why he does that is because he doesn't connect with it as much, because in the way of like, okay, I'm trying to like think of how I explain this, is that he doesn't use a lot of methods that teachers would use. He simply, like, okay, teachers, I'm going to say this, have to be cringe. Basically, they kind of have to be cringe, because when you are teaching students, you have to be aware of the fact that you are going to probably end up embarrassing yourself, or you're going to get some things wrong, and you have to grow. Teaching is a thing that is trial and error, and you are constantly failing. And I see Logan as a character who is probably afraid of failure, which is something he probably has in common with Roman, but he's also a character that, like, I'm sorry, I'm like thinking of this off the spot, so it's not coming out the best. Is that he is a character that
he feels like he has. I feel like he feels like he has to be a book. He feels like he has to be unquestionable knowledge.
He says himself that he's like, oh, I can't be a joke. I can't be thought of as such. And part of that is probably because he thinks that if no one takes me seriously, then they won't listen to me. I'm going to be honest, Logan. If you are a teacher in that motif, there are going to be some students who, it doesn't matter how truly like serious you are, how silly you are, they're just not going to respect you. And I think having this idea that you have to be serious all the time is also not necessarily great for your learners, because I'm sorry, I'm just going off about education, but not necessarily great for your.
I teach preschool. I've taken early education classes and things like that as well.
You get it.
Sure.
But not necessarily just interesting for your learners, is that you have to create these social emotional relationships so they feel like they can trust you, and they are better to learn from that. So I don't know. I think that I would love to see later in the series a more teaching motifs from Logan, whether like even if it's simple things where he's like, okay, like jokingly like, okay, I'm gonna pull out popsicle sticks with your names on, and obviously I'm thinking of like elementary school
Yeah,
type things. I'm not like a high school teacher. Or hey, whoever gets the most points gets a sticker as a one-off joke. I would just love
that'd
to
be
see more
adorable.
teaching specifically from
If
Logan.
you're good, you can pick from the prize closet.
I think Roman would love that so
He
much.
would. It would work really well. I feel like Patton should team up with Logan to teach him how to teach things better. I think it would be fantastic.
I don't know if his ego could take that,
He
but honestly,
couldn't.
I do think that if they worked together and then also took a hand from like Roman's creativity, it would be, I don't know. I
It's
think it would
almost
help
like
Logan
all
grow a
together they
lot.
can make a functioning person, maybe.
Except they don't because Thomas doesn't.
The thing I love is that you also have to think of like their characters as themselves. They're logic, they're also Logan, but they're also how
Yeah.
Thomas would view that trait. So it's like there's
Oh
also
yeah.
that built into it.
If anything, I think that it really does set up Logan into kind of a box in and of itself. And obviously these characters are three-dimensional, but
Yeah.
they're also not at the same time because while they represent more than just their initial traits, they're still not a full human being. So Logan basically still put in the box of being a teacher, but he kind of can't be a full teacher because he's only encompassing logic. He's not allowed to tap into that creativity, that emotional maturity like and knowledge that you have to have. So honestly, poor guy.
I also feel like sometimes he almost fights against becoming more three-dimensional, whereas Patton's like, I have to accept that things are more complicated now, morality is more complicated now. Logan almost is scared to evolve in that aspect, I think.
Oh yeah, I could definitely say, and I think it all just comes back to his fear of not being taken serious. And I do understand where it comes from,
Oh yeah.
solely because if he is not taken seriously, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Like him and Virgil probably not being taken seriously are probably two sides that if Thomas did stop taking them seriously, things would go very bad.
I would love to see that played out at some point of like, since we saw that with accepting anxiety, where anxiety ducks out and how that
Logan,
affects
don't
Thomas.
dunk out.
Quack quack. I would love like for the way that they're maybe not be listening to or behaving or something with the sides affecting how Thomas is would be interesting.
Perhaps it's time to put on our cogitating caps. You mean our figurative?
I own this hat. I got it
Do you?
secondhand off
No.
Makari.
I
Look at
want
his
it.
stupid little gay
Look at that little
smile.
face.
Oh, he's
Come on, guys. We've got an
he looks
something
directly
that
at
I'm not
Virgil. That's
aware
really
of
funny.
yet. Something that may be unlocked with the
He
right
looks so
question.
That's hilarious.
This is like fundamental learning.
Learning.
How did I used to learn things? Textbooks, mistakes, puppets. What? You
I
know,
love
he
it.
always shouts out random things.
It's just very interesting that the first thing that like that attracts Thomas is the more creative outlook
Yeah.
that he likes about it is just puppets. That of course that's going to intrigue him the most.
The way that Roman says we should listen to him in regards to him saying puppets is one of my favorite line readings in this entire
Maybe it'll
episode.
be easier to work through
Yeah, it's hilarious.
when puppets are
It's-
involved.
all of their
Fair
body
enough.
language is
But
so
he's an
funny.
adult now. He's outgrown all of
And
that.
distinct.
I think I'm going to go on another rant. Is that okay?
Yes,
You've
all
seen-
rants are allowed. This can be like 2 hours. I don't care. I'm having so much fun.
I think something that's interesting is, again, this goes back to the thing about how we talked about is how Logan is afraid in a way to kind of branch out of his usual methods.
Mhm.
Is that he basically says like, oh, well, Thomas has outgrown puppets.
Yeah.
Is that, again, he's associating like puppetry and these more like traditional teaching methods that are associated with younger kids as inappropriate for Thomas's age because, you know, maturity. And again, things that are adult, serious business. Things that are for children, oh, they're babies. You know, we're
Silliness.
not like that. We have to be taken seriously. That's silly. So things that, you know, he associates with such, he doesn't. And honestly, I think that goes back to like him probably not taking Patton as honestly seriously, because he probably associates him with stuff like
I
that.
think probably what he thinks of Patton plays into what he thinks
Yeah.
about acting silly.
And it's okay to act silly. You're my silly little guy.
I know, you are such a silly little guy. I think, and it's also a thing of
Funny.
like,
Mhm.
part of that is, you know, when I got into this fandom and like I joined our little Discord group, there were people because I'm older than everyone, and that was fun. I started watching the show when I was 11, and I'm like, cool, my knees are made of sand now because you said that. One of the girls being like, it's cool to like stuff that's, you know, for like kids and younger people. I'm like, this show's not for kids.
Yeah,
jerks.
no, I don't.
It made me so sad because I feel like, I mean, there's obviously things you can get out of different, like, at different times of your life, but when I, honestly, watching this series has, like, made me make improvements to my life and how I deal with things. Like, for real, for real.
I think I always saw the show season 2 wise as more aimed as like a young adult audience, but like anyone can necessarily watch it.
100%.
I guess if I think about it, like maybe season 1 was like a little bit more like mid to late teens, but then it just kind of got like more mature as like Thomas's content naturally more matured.
I love that it also matches up with as the like, yeah, of course it got more mature because they decided to do more, but it also works with like the problems becoming more mature and therefore the characters having to adjust. Like it all works on this really great scale between like story and character and just time making it. But no, it's in the same way that like, you know, I have friends who watch Bluey who don't have kids, who are adults, but are just like, it heals my inner child.
And honestly, I think that that's something when people don't necessarily consider is just the fact that like first of all, if something just makes somebody happy, but
Yeah.
also is that hey, you know, maybe we like if you're an adult and you just never had access to that social emotional learning and you just
100%.
never felt fulfilled, this could be something that it's like basically there's this How I Met Your Mother episode where it talks about the gaps of knowledge that you don't know because like your parents or something
Yeah,
didn't
I
teach it to
remember
you.
that episode.
So I think
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, one of them didn't know how to like do something because they were just never taught it.
That is
And
so
basically I
me.
think it's just
Yeah.
a similar vein.
I think I was like almost 30 and I'm like, I've never used a toaster. And my roommate's like, what? I'm like, I just never have. I'm sure I can figure it out. I just never have.
No,
It
it
just
was I
happens
remember
that
I
way.
think I was like 18 and my parents told me to preheat the oven and I was like, how do I do that? And they were like they were like, oh, you're so freaking stupid. What do you mean you don't? I'm like,
I'm
taught
not
me how
the
to
educator. I'm just
preheat.
saying,
No one
tell
told me
me.
how to do it.
It's never come up before. What do you want? But also, I think there's an element to like, you and I both have ADHD. So does Thomas. Sometimes we're in a constant battle with our brains to cooperate to begin with. We have to take whatever ends up clicking with us for whatever it is. Like, is it puppets that's gonna capture you enough to learn this thing? Go with it.
Jingling the car keys in front of you.
100%. Whatever makes that click to connect your brain with what you need to be doing, whatever dopamine hit gets you to do what has to happen, just roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
Have her own puppets or.
He's so silly.
He's so cute.
I just always wanted to do.
That's the reaction all of Tumblr had to seeing those the
Me
puppets.
too.
No, he's so cute.
That's what I was doing. You definitely
He's really
didn't
silly.
actually scare me. You're
Best
adorable.
Virgil
Look at
line.
you. Yeah, cute
You're
puppet.
adorable.
Aw.
You
It wasn't,
so cute.
I was just a little.
I honestly think that Logan's reaction here is also like a play on how he is probably jealous of the fact that Pat is able to captivate Thomas.
Yeah, 100%.
And he just doesn't get it. Jim
Really interesting.
Handsome
Did I
over
overdo the
here.
chin?
Wow.
This would be a great.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
drink.
It's
This would be a great
branching out
drink
your
to
muscle.
drink every time there's a puppet reference.
Jim Handsome over here.
Oh, 100%.
Wow. You are unbelievably extra any chance you get. Oh, put a sock in it. Hey, Roman.
And that's the only thing he could think about.
Please
A sock.
Please cumpleaños.
Because you're made of fleece.
You're made of fleece.
This is definitely where we're going. Your turn, Virgil. Unless you'd rather be called Camilla the chicken. Stop.
Chicken.
If he wants to. No, I do.
Oh, she's my queen.
It'll help.
She's the best.
Okay, how do I do this?
Shrug his little shoulders. I like also Logan's look there because it implies that he probably thinks of him and Virgil as the closest. So Virgil changing
Well, yeah,
is
I mean, they're
annoying to
left-brain
him.
boys.
Yes, I am a puppet. Here
And
to
also,
take
he
you
knows
on.
how much Virgil has not liked to change in the past.
I can't do
The fact that
this.
he's willing
this
to
is
do
great.
it for
I
Thomas.
really think this could work.
That makes him feel guilty. They're like, I'm not
If by
gonna.
up you mean that I am not down to do this, you are correct. What? You know, big surprise coming from No Funs and Honeydew. Last second edition there. Made it. Stuck the landing. Aw, Logan, come on! We need you at the table
Play.
if we're gonna be learning.
You're gonna be
It
learning.
has become quite clear that me co-signing all of your ridiculous antics is just a formality. When all of you decided on using puppets to address a serious issue, logic was already...
Oh, Logan, I love you so freaking much, but I'm holding back so many opinions about you.
Bless you.
Help it. It's not his fault.
Have you been watching me constantly?
Stuck in a box.
You know what happens when
Stuck in a
you
box.
I quote this so much. I quote Az out of Sue and Me so freaking much. You don't understand.
I just don't want to concern anybody by suggesting I
Is
was
his
thrown through a
nose
window.
supposed to look like a
I
little
wanted to
cherry
communicate
tomato? Is that
5
on
by 5
purpose?
that I'm 5 by 5. It's okay, Roman. His intentions are there. I mean,
Patents.
who does...
Is it meant
Look
to
at his
look a
nose, because I
little-
can't remember what it is.
With clarity
Well, let's see.
hurts.
Hold
Going
on.
above and beyond.
It's stupid.
The rage.
So this line right here, G's L, that was pretty rough. Oh, it's so soft. I love their friendship.
I know. Also,
They're
the
so
whole time I'm
sweet.
watching this, because I've seen the Patreon no puppets thing, I constantly see those expressions Thomas is making during
Oh,
it.
100%.
I love that video so
It's a really
much.
good video.
Love seeing all the expressions.
Hashtag not sponsored by Thomas's Patreon. We are
We're
not sponsored to
Thomas's
say
Patreon, but
them.
you should totally go join it. I'm actually really happy I joined it. I like it a lot. It's great. Brought to you by the letter P for Patreon.
Maybe I should go. No! We are not about to leave it there, mister.
Tomato.
We can't continue this convo. If you're gonzo...
What cherry tomatoes do you look at?
Be like one of those Sesame Street Schumann friends.
I don't eat a lot of vegetables.
Like Maria.
I can tell. Like, I would, at least carrot would be acceptable. I don't know what that is.
Snuffleupagus.
Pre-1985, before they canonically confirmed that Snuffleupagus wasn't imaginary. Of course. Clarity.
Okay, I'm pausing. I apologize. First of all, I love that when Thomas does the whole, like, and gives that little fact about Snuffleupagus, he takes on Logan's cadence. I love that when he expresses a lot of one side, he kind of sounds like them. I think I don't know if that's on purpose or just, like, how it ends up being delivered, but I love that little touch of, like, showing that they all are a part of him. I also have to ask, because we are from two different generations, did you watch Sesame Street growing up?
I did. I definitely did. I think I watched it more at my grandma's. I know that, like, obviously I was, like, after Elmo, and as far as I'm aware from what, like, the documentaries and videos I've seen, is that Elmo kind of, like, took over Sesame Street a little bit.
Did.
And I really enjoyed
Snuffleupagus at all, because I don't know if you did.
He's the big elephant, right? The big brown elephant.
Beautiful, majestic eyelashes.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I remember those eyelashes.
Oh,
no, I do remember them.
I wish to have butterfly kisses from Mr. Snuffleupagus.
There you go. Yeah.
He was, like, my favorite person on Sesame Street growing up, and I'm so sad that, like, newer generations do not get him, because he was so sweet, and he kind of sounded like Eeyore, and he was just a love, and I wanted to give him hugs all the time.
I think I'm just generally sad that the newer generations don't get to see Sesame Street anymore, like, at all, really.
That's
just because of, like, how inaccessible it is. I thought it was, like, Apple TV. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember.
No, I think it's on Max. That's so sad, man. I used to live that, and, like, Mr. Rogers, which were much scarier puppets. I feel like in the 90s, there were just a lot of puppet series. There was, like, that. There was Story Time. There was Timmy the Tooth. There was Between the Lions. We had a lot of puppets.
There's a puppet place. Go watch, this is hashtag not sponsored. Go watch Defunctland.
Oh my god, please do.
We could start by having an
open
and honest conversation.
I love Penn. He's silly.
I love the way that all of the voices are turned up just a little bit as far as animated goes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's not a lot of difference, but it's slightly different. I love that.
This is important, guys. Thomas, you have to face your feelings head on. Tell me, do you ever feel like a paper man?
I think I've watched the bloopers so many times, though, that, like, sometimes I just hear the blooper lines instead of the actual lines. Like, for that, I always just think of the Voldemort thing.
I hear the blooper line.
Yeah, I always hear the other one.
This is true. My videos. So what? Big deal. The problems I have.
It's honestly something I deal with a lot, so I'm happy to see it, like, talked about, because I feel like a lot of the times I'll feel a certain way and then feel bad that I feel it, because I know other people have it worse. And I know for some people that can make them feel better, because they're like, oh, other people feel sad like me, but I think about it as, like, oh, other people feel sad like me, able to deal with it, why can't I, kind of thing.
Exactly.
God, that line delivery is so freaking funny. I love Patty, he's so funny.
For having feelings. Sure, sometimes your feelings may not make sense, but it's not your feelings' job to make sense. You just experience them. And you have to do your best to deal with them. Well, that...
I think he'd be a good little preschool teacher.
Talking about them
Logan, don't effing roll your eyes at him. Put it away.
About my feelings because I don't understand.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he just gets upset that he sees the others getting
your
through to him.
feelings if you fix the problem. Well, Logan's gonna cool it with the deadlines.
What? It's a matter of honestly jealousy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Except I'm
he's
not.
always had.
Are the deadlines really the cause of that pressure, or is it? I don't know. Roman's inability to perform adequately.
Imagine just living your life and then somebody points out your biggest insecurity.
Something to do with this? The issue has to do with creating
content. Like, actually, you know what? I will also dunk you. Let me do it.
Well, pardon
And his
me,
pride, because Roman's the only one
Vomiting
with
Central.
pride.
But when were either of you the experts on creative content? Who are you to criticize my work?
Oh my gosh, what is up
In
your
case
butt?
the RSD.
An arm. Okay, I think it's clear.
One of the best jokes in the
Pointing
episode.
fingers is getting
Vomiting
us
Central's a
nowhere.
good line.
So let's avoid
Mhm.
that. Agreed.
A good crank anchors
Butterfingers.
reference.
That's not what Butterfingers means.
I'm gonna be honest, for the longest time, I did not get that joke because I was like, he's pointing his whole hand. What do you mean? And then it dawned on me.
Perhaps we are in a state of disorder because no one is adhering to my instruction. Okay,
What are the instructions? You're being vague.
I'm
You
happy
can't be
to
mad.
hear
No
you
one's
out
doing what you're
there.
saying.
What do you think
don't
we
have
should
to-
I mean, from a teaching standpoint, I kind of get it that I also get frustrated sometimes when I give my students the exact instructions laid out before them. But I don't think, honestly, Logan did that.
No, he didn't.
Earlier, Patton, asking the right question. Why?
Pause here. I wanted to say that I don't know if this is intentional or not, but actually, this is kind of like a teaching approach for social emotional skills within students. Is that it's the 5 whys. Is that typically when you have a student come to you where they don't understand and process their feelings, the way to basically make them realize how they're feeling is to honestly just ask why over and over. And to dig deep into it. And that's honestly what they do in this episode. So I don't know if it was like an intentional research thing that they found and were like, we got to implement this, or if somebody just was like, oh, this works for me. But it is like an actual teaching strategy. So I'm taking it as the +1 point for Logan board.
That is really cool.
Even though actually, no, never mind. This was actually Patton. He said Patton kind of brought this up. So never mind. Patton, you get another point. Whoops, Logan. Sorry.
So much of what you feel, Thomas, comes down to whether or not your actions are aligning with your goals. Oh, I think I get it. What? Yeah.
I think I get it.
Yes!
Because
I
they're
love that.
fun.
Okay, I'm about to say something.
Yes.
See, this is like the 5 whys here. So we have 1, 2,
Why did your old friends question?
like 3 instead of 5. But I'm gonna be real.
Because
One, I think the transition between him turning his face and not is a really good like choice. I'm happy they did that instead of a hard cut. But also, you're gonna hate me for saying this. When I first saw that bit, I did not think of the Electric Company. I've seen the Electric Company, but when I first saw that, I thought of the Family Guy cutaway gag where they
Oh
made
my
fun of the
God.
Electric
I
Company
guess I
with
have
Peter
doubts on
Griffin.
That's
whether or
hilarious.
not I'm making the most of mine.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
I mean, look,
Expand
I also
upon
saw
those
in your
doubts.
reaction
Yeah,
video to
I-
the Hear Me Out
I don't
kicks.
know where to go from there.
You
I
saw
mean,
a
if you
picture
ask
of
me,
Max
I could
Shrek's
Certainly
nose
list off
rotted
several
and
factors that
SpongeBob.
very well could be contributing to your
I know who he, like.
know,
Like that's
I know.
the first place I had seen him. I like how he immediately also looks at Virgil because he knows Virgil is probably the most likely who would like respond and ask him.
Yeah.
I think that's funny. He's playing to his audience. There's a lot of Sesame Street references. They're so silly.
Responsibilities. People have limits. Perhaps you can't continue at this pace indefinitely.
Yeah, creative burnout is a B word.
Your work is
I do think it's really interesting because I feel like Logan is kind of pulling an early Virgil where it's just like, I'm not getting through to him. I'm going to scare
It's
him into
pessimistic.
listening to me.
Oh yeah, basically.
It's like he just keeps getting like he wants to look, for constantly saying that Roman is his pride, all these people got pride issues. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Roman, Logan, and Janice do.
Yeah, basically.
Which is funny because they're like the left side boys, left brain boys are Virgil, Janice, and Logan.
inspiration they needed elsewhere.
Three.
I mean, I guess I've gotten a lot of
speculation.
inspiration.
He is being very
I
pessimistic.
can think of another one. No
I
one
think
takes
part
you
of it is
serious.
honestly, actually, wait a second. Now that I think about this, pause it for a second. I actually just thought about it. I don't know about all the questions. Yeah, I know that one is always. I know that one is very clearly a direct reference to himself. He's kind of projecting, which is ironic because he is a projection of Thomas. But now that I'm thinking about it, I could be wrong because I honestly, again, ADHD attention span. I don't remember the first 2 things he said, but that third one, honestly. Now that I'm thinking about it, the way that we've been talking about specifically how he's been jealous of Patton in this episode because Patton is getting through to Thomas more like easily because this is an emotional issue and he's hitting it from like a really good social emotional teaching standpoint, is he says that like who's to say people have been inspired by your work. Who's to say they wouldn't have found that inspiration elsewhere? It honestly could be a reference to himself. Is the fact that people say like they listen to him, but who's to say they can't be inspired by other sides like Patton?
And also, yeah, it's an interesting thing of like, again, showing these guys are projections of Thomas is like, yeah, and this point where he says no one takes you seriously, it's I don't take you seriously, meaning you don't take you seriously, and that's why you're having this issue right now. When by the end, when Logan does see the benefits of this, suddenly Thomas is able to accept that he's allowed to take himself seriously with what he does and see value in what he does.
I think that him talking about his opinions is very fascinating to me, because we also get to hear about, like, Janice make the clarification that Logan has a differentiation between what he feels like is facts and what is his opinions, and I think that's just really interesting that he separates them, which honestly I feel like says something a little bit about his pride.
Yeah. As such, because there will be times in which I must be heated, and given our current circumstances, I clearly haven't been. So I'm saying,
I'm gonna be real, Logan. I really don't think it's gonna make a difference whether you're serious or not, how much they're gonna listen to you.
I think he's worried that if Logan, they don't listen to him once, they'll stop listening to him always, and then he thinks that when it's a life or death situation, people won't listen to him and something's gonna happen.
Life, so...
I get it in a way. If I was talking about this to my therapist, is that I was like, if I have a bad impression in front of the students, that I know that they may not take me seriously and they won't listen to me and they'll be disrespectful and then I'll never be able to teach them again. So you know what, actually, Logan, I kind of do understand. I take it back.
Yeah, but your kids will forget in like 24 hours. They're kids.
I'm surprised, actually.
I know.
This stuff is more than just silly or cheesy, and I'm sorry I keep bringing up food. It's just the inside of this.
But also, I think before that, like, Virgil talking about the massive change is very funny. Is that, again, Virgil is softer with Logan, I feel like, than the others necessarily. I think it's just very interesting to see how he was like, even though he let it off with like a, you're the worst, I'm gonna kill you. He was still like honestly nice in the lead up.
Well, I think their relationship's really interesting because, like,
okay, why don't you just go get lost in a dryer?
You know, Roman, it's too bad your brain isn't as big as that chin.
Well, you
smell like farts, Roman.
No, not only am I giving you a chance, but I'm saying
helpful.
that your contribution has value in that debate video.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely left an impression on him.
You do?
To be like, all right, at the very least, he listened to me. And not to mention he's the one that noticed something was wrong and moving on.
Logan,
He knows enough to realize those
I made you
kind of
angry.
things.
I do that quite a bit, actually.
It also, I will say, frustrates me just a little bit that Roman has to be the one to he gets the one specifically called out when both of them were making fun of each other. I think Virgil should have also gotten called out.
Yep, 100%.
I just feel bad for Roman. He just has to apologize all the time. I know he makes a lot of mistakes. I just feel bad for him.
So does
bad.
Patton has to apologize, I think, more than he should, but we'll get into that maybe if we ever do another one of these.
Well, that might work.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maestro.
Yes.
Oh, what? No.
I love Patton's immediately on board with dancing.
Oh, hell yeah. Logan, you can't do anything after singing your little Crofter song 8 months ago. I don't want to hear it.
This is truly my favorite song in the whole series. I'm also just always impressed that he can sing all, like, he can sing with his voice, and if you shut your eyes, you know exactly what character's singing.
Where everything fits, and people can be like a half-missing puzzle set as we
Virgil's singing voice is my favorite.
I love it.
Well,
I think it's come a long way from if you listen to the first time they all sing in the New Year of Lying to Myself, because they honestly just all sound like Thomas.
Yeah.
Because Virgil has a very much more like in-your-face theatrical singing voice, something more akin to Roman. So I like seeing him more toned down because it makes more sense.
Yeah.
He's grown so much from moving on. I love Patton Sanders. He's my silly fella.
The best. Well, there was that problem. I was listening to this song a lot when I was also listening to this really intense diss track that had just come out from this rapper I love, and now the songs are kind of combined in my head all the time.
Plants feed animals.
That's hilarious.
Feed animal-eating animals.
Guys, the ADHD's kicking in with Patton.
Get him back.
How does all of that relate to rain? Oh, right, rainy days. Forgot what I was talking about.
Honestly, that's how I relate things in my head. I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Piece of the puzzle that is like
this weird spooky
Brody dude.
You listen to me as too scary to
This I only see Thomas's performance as not a puppet because of the little shimmy shoulders.
Oh yeah, 100%. And also the way that his head shots up in that specifically. This was also a line I remember I saw a lot on Tumblr about that specific part.
The care love.
Yeah.
I like the I mean well mean. I like this whole sequence. Didn't I hear that, was this Joan wrote this song?
What we need.
That was a quaint little review of things
I think so. I think that Joan has a very specific writing style when it comes to music. That I don't know. I think it's you can tell there. It's like a lot of word compositions that come together to form like a story. I don't know. I'm not into music that well. That has a lot of like.
I feel like this is a really good
I can't
shot.
describe it. Oh yeah, split screen effects. I know those.
It's a clean one.
right here.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're acting weird. I was
Oh, it's so soft. I'm gonna end it all.
to all of you. Life sucks less now. We're your
My
best
favorite part of the song.
pals. No one wants to be a joke, but a life free of jokes is incomplete.
Somebody give my boy Logan a hug.
I
Virgil,
love
if you could just waddle on over there, please do.
By all means,
Is that right? I feel like this.
So funny.
Huh?
I'd also like to contribute to this weird venti
So
song.
freaking funny.
Please do.
I've got an issue that
I like
feels
that purposely
mutual. I
encompasses
don't
Thomas
wanna say
Sanders
I'm
as a
too
character.
cool,
It's
but
just
I'm
like,
too fat
how do
for
I
you
help? How do
fools,
I
and feel
conquer
like
my
you don't
anxiety?
get me.
Become
You
best friends with
insulted
it.
us while venting. Sorry.
There you
it's
go.
all right.
That's like My Little Pony type beat.
Very much so.
Hurting me. It's clear
Thomas
you're
is a
the
pony.
one that's hurting, huh? You feel low.
Thomas, I hate to break it to you, but saying it's clear you're the one who's hurt. Thomas, that's your pride. That's you're
I
also
know.
hurting.
We embrace you. That's rich. No one hates you. Everybody's
Line that was very common on Tumblr.
I'm sure it was.
incomplete.
Yeah.
I love
No
the
comment.
horn so much.
Now you see.
Really like the
There's
trumpets.
nothing better to me than surprise trumpets. I love me a surprise trumpet. They make me. Someone could offer me $2 million. Nah, surprise me with a trumpet.
I'll take the $2 million.
Yeah.
If you want to give it to me, I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
Give me $2 million. I can pay someone $50 to surprise me with a trumpet. I just love them so much.
And we put it in song, so it's easy
Logan.
He's like, I will not give in to this song.
I'll admit, but in time we'll find where
Fine.
everything
I don't know if you can. You say that, and then here's Patton. He's silly.
Oh, I just want to give him a little hug.
Wow.
Him and his cherry tomato nose.
Really helped me feel better. How? I don't know.
Logan, I'm so tired of you.
But I don't know if that would have been
We just gotta
reasonable
find
to
a
Hitting
expect.
you in the head with a
Logan, but, like,
tin
we need to
can.
show Logan the
Now
guy
I
who didn't
know
like
where
musicals.
some of the issues are originating from. Me too. Oh, do you, Roman? They're originating with me.
Aw.
Logan, I know that I act like I'm not concerned with
Roman has
schedules
a
or
freaking
numbers
Virgil's
or anything, but I am. I know that we have a
I just have
responsibility, and
ADHD,
want
man. I don't know what you want me to do, Retta. I don't have any Adderall.
Get Adderall. It's
just-
great.
Keep going, Roman. It's so hard to create anything that I'm proud of
I need to
when
pause
it's
this real quick,
critiqued
sorry.
so hard.
Because I'm curious if you know, how do they, I feel like the sound in these videos is always so clear. Like, and with the puppets too, because I know like they took the audio from when he was doing the performances, the live ones, and then put it with this. Do you happen to know how he records sound? Like, is it just mic'd? Is it just from the camera? Like, I just feel like it's really well mixed.
I think as far as I'm aware, obviously it could have changed. I'm remembering this from like a BTS video. It could have changed since then, or even in like during this episode. But I know that he had a mic, and it's like just attached to the top of the camera.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's not the camera, so it's not the camera's mic, but it is a proper mic, but it's like attached to the camera. So I don't think it's like a separate. I assume it's just like something that makes both of them together. I don't know.
That's just a lot, man.
It is pretty crystal clear.
It's really clear. It's super, super clear. It sounds great. I just had to point that out because it sounds fantastic. So he has like a proper camera.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he just used phones or not.
No, yeah, he has a proper camera. He got like a new one recently, and you can
nice.
see that in some of his newer videos. It's like a higher quality. I don't know if he's gonna switch that over to standard sides eventually, or he may just stick with the camera that he's comfortable with. I don't know, but I think that this new era episode that's coming out is gonna, at least I know for sure, probably be with his older camera, because I think he started filming on it with said older camera before he got the new one.
What? Nothing ever seems to be good enough.
I like Logan saying what he doesn't really realize that he's been like critiquing him so hard, and that it's been like actively affecting him.
And that's so real. I've dealt with that with people where they've like hurt my feelings, and they just a lot of times like I have such low self-esteem that I think no one's listening, that I don't think my words have power.
as a
And I'm like, no,
priority.
they do. You've hurt my feelings.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not exactly my specialty.
Someone give Logan some social emotional skills.
Right. I do really love moments where Logan
instead
will
of carrying
acknowledge
on with the
what Rowie brings to
conversation,
the table,
we were
like saying
stopping to
Thomas
sing
should go
that
to,
random
you know,
song.
or like
but
wanting to work with him on the next
the song was
Secret
part
Santa.
of the
I really love
conversation.
that.
Well, yeah, sometimes talking about feelings can be scary or
I just like it when everybody's
overwhelming. These things that we do sometimes, while they are silly,
I love how the
Hello,
music
Will.
kicked in
also
sounds
be
like it's from like a
constructive
kid
and
show.
effective. No matter what
Oh
we
yeah,
do.
100%. I think it is cute. First of all, this is adorable, but also, you know, Patton really got through to Logan, and I think that's really sweet. Logan, you learned
How good a
something
teacher he
today,
is,
buddy.
and
You
he's
learned
good.
something.
That's exactly what I need.
See, he learned something. Oh, I'm so proud of my boy. Come here, Logan. Let me give you a hug.
And I think that it does, because I feel like Logan is such a good teacher in dealing with intrusive thoughts.
Maybe it's time to ask yourself.
Oh yeah, 100%. I wonder if he honestly kind of like took points from like Patton here.
I like to think he
That'd be
did.
cute.
I never question people's belittling views on what I do.
That's the fourth why. Well, we almost got 5.
I never considered the
Belittling is a funny
subjectivity of what can be taken seriously.
At least it's not titillating.
Breakthrough.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional.
I'm getting emotional. Virgil, hug me.
I'm scared. All right, maybe
I love
He's
Don't Hug Me,
so
I'm Scared so much. I'm so glad there was a reference.
so tiny.
before. Not that I was wrong.
I love Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
But
I mean, you were a little
I
wrong,
should
but
be
you know.
open to more sources. Roman, I suppose I could.
I kind of honestly wish Logan would apologize to Patton a little bit here, but I know he's not going to because it's Logan, but I can hope for it in my heart.
I feel like everyone should line up to apologize to Patton.
Thank you.
I'm such a freaking big Patton defender. Like, Logan does something, and I'm like, yeah, he's an a-hole, but I love him a lot. He's just like that. I'm sorry. And then for Patton, I'll be like, I go to the ends of the earth. I like when he says, I'm going to move my arms again. Virgil, you don't really move your arms that often. I'm going to be real.
Like, moves with his shoulders anyway.
No, you.
Oh, actually, wait, pause. The only if you want to line, I don't know if it's an intentional callback, but I think it's really cute, is that it references when, you know, Logan says, in Accepting Anxiety, you don't, no pressure if you don't want to, when Virgil's like, oh, I'll reveal my name because the others are telling him to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cute thing. They're like, I don't know, they look out for each other in a way. It's sweet.
I love that Virgil's been very since the episode where he got changed into everybody. I think he's big on like consent. Only do things if you want to do them. It's okay. So you know, I think that's very cute of him, kind of just giving Logan permission. Just because everyone's pressuring you right now, you don't have to do the thing.
He has the cool, like, I think I like Virgil's puppet the most because he's the cutest, and I just have a thing for cute things. But I think Logan's is definitely like, it is intricately the coolest thing.
I do love the Iron Giant reference.
No, brother. Seriously though, thank you guys.
Silly.
You were right.
I've never seen that movie.
Puppets can still be pretty efficacious.
I haven't seen a lot of things, to be fair. It's okay. Oh, he's so silly. I'm gonna end it.
Unfortunately, everything. I've seen all the movies.
I like how his tie. I don't know if it's like on camera or not. Like if it like off camera, it was more blue. But I like his look is really purple. It's funny. The beginning of the end.
I don't always like when you talk about me like I'm some.
I honestly always saw this as a surrogate for like Virgil talking to the audience because a lot of the audience like woofied him. So I always saw it as more that rather than speaking directly to Patton. But I don't know. That's just how I interpreted it.
Because I'm not like I just got back onto Tumblr, having been gone for like many years because TikTok went bad. So I popped back onto Tumblr recently. So I haven't seen much of it. I do love that he, like, when he's nervous, he scratches the back of his head. Because that's something, like, when I get really anxious, I'll start, one of my tics is, like, running my hands through my hair. So I kind of love that he always does that.
I really picked up the habit of, like, fidgeting with my hair by running it like that. And I think it's really funny is the other day, I think it was Sophia, she asked me, she's like, do you ever think that Thomas's hair gets greasy because he does that? And I look and I'm like, well, since I picked that habit up from him and I do it all the time, yes, it makes my hair very greasy very fast.
Mine is also, I don't realize I'm doing it, but if I'm in a conversation and I'm starting to get uncomfortable, I'll start like rubbing my hands on like my pant legs, kind of like on my like upper legs, and I don't notice it, but suddenly, like if I'm with my best friend, she'll immediately change topics of the conference, like make everyone change topics, and later on she's like, I saw you getting nervous because you were doing the thing with your hands.
Aw, that's
sweet.
Like,
oh, thank you, friend. So you think that it's him talking to the fandom a little bit? I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I
That he's a character they will
if that's part of it. I've always wondered if that is something that it was trying to do. I interpret it as such, but I don't know if it's actually like canonical.
No.
I mean, it also makes sense that he's talking to Patton through it, because I think that there were definitely times where I think it's more of a prevalent problem in the first season, and then a little bit of fitting in. But I feel like at this point, Patton wasn't doing it as much. So except for like that one comment in this where he's like, "Oh, the don't like he's being cheesy right now" thing. Other than that, I feel like he really toned it down. So I wondered if it was just like a, hey, we're kind of directing this more towards the audience because they did it towards Virgil. I'd be honestly curious to maybe ask Thomas about it one day, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think also because isn't the next episode phases?
Embarrassing phases, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that might be also leading up to the kind of he gives this sort of warning, and then final straw next episode he snaps about it.
Thunder. He's so cute and little.
Okay. Thunder. You got it, Virgil. Look at this. It looks like Thomas wasn't the only one who needed to learn new things about himself too.
He said the episode title.
So you're all better now, right?
I get it.
Maybe not.
I think this is honestly showing that Logan isn't as emotionally mature, because he's like, "Oh, you're all better now, right?" Because he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't necessarily know that these things take time. He's getting better. I think that this is a big step for Logan, and that helps him out. I think Patton really teaches him things. He just doesn't realize it.
It's gross when a robot does it. Yes.
Yes.
Outtake.
Virgil, I owe you and Patton for pushing me to find a solution. Like we said, a dynamic.
Get ready for the metaphor that they're no longer in sync. Let's go. Oh, there it is.
It is the worst.
I can't remember if this shot is both Talon and Joan, or if it's just Joan. I can't remember.
That's hilarious if it's just Joan.
Yeah, it figured it out. This took a second. Good job. One last question. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
Virgil's effing gigantic eyes.
I know.
But I think it's funny Virgil also participates. How do you get stuck? Well, I guess I've never transformed into a puppet, so I can't necessarily say it's easy to get out of it.
Try changing your entire composition.
You're right. I'll try it next Tuesday to see if it works out.
It fits in your schedule on Tuesday?
It's unrealistic.
Yeah, but I do have therapy that day. Maybe I'll discuss it with him.
Yeah,
especially concerning reoccurring
Puppets
problems. To think critically about them, not ignore them.
I want that hat.
You'll find something that catches your eye. Any purchase.
I've only ever seen this hat sold once on a resale site, so I really hope you get one eventually.
I get nothing. I
we
missed out on
appreciate any and all support you guys do
everything. I know
provide
stuff
through
to
your
get
kind
back.
messages, your fan art, your
Yeah, I don't know. I always hope that maybe one day he'll go at least the district lines, or even just stuff on his shop. Well, maybe he'll do like a thing or like, oh, a throwback merch kind of day. I don't know.
I would love a Logan holiday sweater.
To Adam Krudinger and
Oh, Adam.
made all the puppets you saw in this video today. He worked from designs Joan came up with and created.
I don't exactly remember the date, but no, he was absolutely extraordinary. Not just to the creative process behind this video where he made these puppets, but also he was just extraordinary and well known in like the puppetry community. He meant a lot to a lot of people. He was really awesome.
So Nate stepped in and
shout out to Melody X627. You do not realize the history you are making being featured on this really cool episode.
so much for making the video everything it was.
I don't understand what the featured fander is or how you begin or what it does.
The video.
Oh, the end card?
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure it's like, oh, you wore merch.
Gotcha.
And it's like, oh, look, feature fan, they wore merch. Oh, this bit is so silly. I always forget about it.
I love that it ends on a Statler and Waldorf.
God, it's so pretty. Look compared to him.
his body. I have no idea what they say.
They're so
This
cute.
is highly entertaining.
I like how Logan's like really bent down. I will say about this episode, I think that it is probably, in my opinion, it's definitely in my top 5 favorite episodes. I think that it's probably top 3 of the best writing in Sanders Sides. I think it has a really tight script, and I think especially you see that with, I think it's probably one of, if not the best episode writing wise, in my opinion, for Patton. One of the best episodes in writing for Virgil. They actually, I don't know if it was a streamy, they got an award nomination for writing in this episode. It's
really?
honestly kind of
That's
funny
cool.
because it was honestly funny though, because I think they credited like even though this episode was before like Quill and Davi and AJ getting added to the team for writing, they also added them into the nomination, even though that this episode was written just by Thomas and John, I'm pretty sure. But it's very funny. I don't think they won it. I think it went to Epic Rap Battles of History, I'm pretty sure, but it did get a nomination in writing, and I think honestly it's very noteworthy. It's a really tightly written episode.
Oh, 100%. I feel like writing wise, like it's this SVS, and I really love dealing with it. Wow. I always mix up if it's dealing or working. I've only seen the series like.
So working through intrusive thoughts is the more recent one, where it's like off the cuff camera following, or dealing with intrusive thoughts is the one where Remus's introduction.
Yes. That one, SVS, and this one are my three probably favorite writing wise.
I think the episode that has the best writing for me is SVS, and then behind it is Can Lying Be Good? But I think Can Lying Be Good is a better episode than SVS because of how it does with the formula. But I think a lot of people will say that SVS is the best episode, which I'm also down with. I think they're pretty interchangeable. But I think that, but we're on this one, and I think this one's really good.
Probably Can Lying Be Good's a better whole, but some parts of SVS are better than Can Lying Be Good in my opinion. But as like an entire, a whole entity, probably Can Lying Be Good's a little bit stronger. I've seen Can Lying Be Good once actually. I haven't gone back and watched it yet again.
I think honestly it's a really good episode. I want to get into a whole spiel about it. Honestly, we should do an episode commentary on Can Lying Be Good.
Oh my god, I would do this for any episode. This was so fun.
Yeah.
I loved it.
What are your final thoughts rewatching this episode?
My final thoughts are I'm so glad I found this series, and I think it's great that it's Sanders sides, it's puppets. I think it's a helpful lesson to just be like, hey, it's okay to feel things without the whole idea of like the guilt process. I think it's just like I've felt that so much in my life of feeling guilty for feeling things when I feel like I haven't earned the right to feel bad about them. And I think it's okay to just be like, you're allowed to, the things that are important to you are allowed to be important. That doesn't need validation from anyone else. And you're also allowed to feel stuff even if they don't make sense. It's okay.
I love, man, Virgil Puppet. He's still laying on that office chair. I think that this is an episode that I really love, and we get to see a lot about Patton, and I feel like some of his best qualities. And I think I don't know if like a lot of people think about it in this way, because a lot of this episode is more so probably Logan being jealous of Patton. And I know that there's a lot of focus at the end for specifically Logan and Roman's interaction, but I'd like to think that after this, Logan did learn a lesson from Patton. And I think it just really shows off how like smart Patton is. He's so smart.
He is incredibly smart. I get so frustrated when I see fans that just kind of see him as like, oh, he's the silly, kind of clueless, innocent guy. I'm like, he's really capable and important and a sweetie bug for sure, but he's very capable.
Hey, okay, everybody, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button like a boss, and tell all your friends about it, and hit the like button, share and comment, etc. Rate this video 5 stars.
And whoever's one it ends up on, go follow that person and also the other one.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom.